Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So as you can tell by the title of this video and the thumbnail, it is a very bittersweet announcement to let you know that we have officially moved out of New York City. It still feels really surreal saying that. It feels surreal to be here. It doesn't really quite feel like we've officially moved, even though our stuff just got here and we kind of are getting more settled. If you've been watching my YouTube videos specifically, this would not be new to you. You knew this was coming. I've pretty much said it in every update or even vlog video. Our last time we moved into our New York apartment, I said that was gonna be our last apartment and we were gonna move eventually and relocate. So this shouldn't be a surprise to you if you've been watching my videos. I posted on Instagram when we packed up our stuff in New York, and a few DMs were like very confused. So I feel like I definitely didn't really prepare Instagram followers for this to happen, but my YouTube following definitely knew this was in the works. And that our last apartment in New York City was gonna be our last, and we were gonna relocate after that. Patrick and I moved to Brooklyn in 2015, so just about 10 years ago now, which is a very long time to be somewhere. It doesn't quite feel like we've left yet, truly, like we still feel like we're there and we're only just visiting where we are. So it's gonna take some time to get used to the relocation. But I look back on New York and I am so freaking proud of myself that I did that. I am from the Midwest, and right out of college, I did what I always wanted to do, and that was live in New York City. I always said I wanted to spend my 20s there, and that's exactly what I did. Our first apartment was in Dumbo, Brooklyn. The classic, you know, when you see Dumbo and you think of Dumbo, the two brick buildings with the bridge, we were in the left brick building. So for that to be our first apartment was truly insane. Dumbo is very different now from when we first lived there. It is very, very built out and there's so much more there, and we got it for a lot cheaper than it would be now. But that apartment was just so insane because we had just moved right out of college, and it just was just the quintessential New York backdrop for everything for us. We lived in a lot of apartments, and it's funny because I was getting a few DMs like, you move all the time, and when you're in New York, 2 to 3 years is the max in an apartment, unless you know, are lucky to not have your landlord raise the rent every year. But that just wasn't the case for us. So after 2 years in Dumbo, too expensive for us, we relocated to Fort Greene. We went from a luxury style building to a pre-war building in Fort Greene, and this apartment truly was like one of my goals. I wanted like a Seinfeld Friends apartment, like the crown molding, the original details, like it just felt so New York to me. The neighborhood itself, Fort Greene, Brooklyn, is truly to this day one of my favorites that we've ever lived in. It is just so beautiful and so just homey. That apartment for me just holds such different memories than Dumbo. I felt like we were really growing up. We started to make more friends. This is truly when our friend group expanded, and we just felt like we were on top of the world with our friend group and just lived our best lives. This is also when I started my travel vlogs and when I started vlogging in general. I never used to really do vlogs on my channel. I always used to do kind of more tutorial based things. If I had to pick a favorite apartment, it probably would be that one, for just the reason alone of just being young and in New York and just truly living in the moment. That apartment felt like that was that for me. So after 3 years, after Patrick and I got married, we decided to relocate to Clinton Hill. And we were really excited about this apartment. We decided we kind of wanted to downsize a little bit. It was our first year of marriage, so we felt like we were gonna travel a bunch and just really experience the joys of not only our job, but being married, and really try to travel more. And then life had other plans and the pandemic hit. So this apartment for us in the beginning was very interesting. We were on full lockdown in this teeny tiny little apartment. As most of you guys saw, we vlogged a lot during that time. And we stayed in New York and we stayed in that apartment. So I look back on that and it's crazy because in the moment, everything was very uncertain and no one really knew what was happening during the pandemic. But now looking back on that, Patrick and I, you know, look at it fondly in the sense that we became very, very close as a couple. It really tested our first year of marriage, being kind of locked down in an apartment and stuck with each other 24/7. That was like the true test. And you know, because of that and because of our closeness that we even got, and we kind of, you know, weren't able to see friends or family, and it was just us two in this apartment, here comes Theo. I found out I was pregnant in October of 2020. We were in that apartment, so that obviously was so special to us because that's where I found out I was pregnant, and we decided to switch units in that building. So we technically moved, but we only moved to just a different 2-bedroom unit instead of the 1-bedroom we were currently in. So we moved into a bigger one, a 2-bedroom, and obviously welcomed our son into the world, which is so special because that was his first real home. Like when we brought him home from the hospital, that was where he had a bunch of his firsts. Life got a little dark for me after that. As you know, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and when I was diagnosed, we had already told our leasing management that we were leaving that apartment. It was always our plan. As you guys kind of see the trend, we move every 2 to 3 years. I remember this apartment search was very different from the rest. Patrick and I would be finding places online, and Patrick would go to them while I recovered from my first surgery. And we just had no luck finding a place. Not only was the market getting crazy in New York, but it was just so hard to do it all remotely. Time was of the essence. I needed to recover. I had another surgery coming up. So we temporarily moved into this brownstone, this beautiful brownstone, for about 3 months. The couple that owned it was going away on a trip. We rented their place for about 3 months while we got more time to look for our last apartment. And I got a lot of questions during this time period of our life in New York, like why don't we just move out of New York if it was, you know, so hard to find an apartment and all of that. And I just fell in love with my medical team. I really liked the team that I had, and we just had a plan of action, and the idea of leaving that and moving somewhere and starting over felt really daunting to me, and I was almost like I'd rather go through the stress of finding a new apartment to keep my medical team. So that is why we didn't relocate then. That apartment for me doesn't necessarily hold the best memories, but it holds a lot of really good ones. We celebrated Theo's first birthday in that apartment. We had some great hangouts with our friends there. Everyone came and like really showed up and showed out and just like supported us through a really intense time. The universe really said, let me give them a break, and we found our last and final New York apartment on the first try, the first go, the first tour, and it truly was a miracle, and we were so thankful that we didn't have to do the craziness of finding an apartment again, especially during that time. And we were able to find our last and final apartment in New York, and that was in Bed-Stuy. That apartment was just such a blessing in so many ways. It was the perfect size that we were looking for now that Theo was getting into toddlerhood, and it just suited our needs as a family, and it was just a very comfortable, beautiful place to live. I feel like I finally reached my goal of living in an actual proper brownstone. It was just nice. That's all I can really like look back at that time, and just I felt really at peace in the last year there. It also is special. Theo took his first steps there. I recovered and became cancer-free in that apartment, which was huge. And I just feel like the last year, the 2023 of that apartment, was just truly me feeling like it was the end of an era, like truly the end of my New York era, and I felt like I was ending it on such a high note. A lot can happen in 10 years, and it certainly did for us, and I just look back on my time in New York and how it transformed my career, my confidence, my friendship, my relationships. I created a family there. Like, it is truly insane, and New York to me is always going to be a part of my life. I know for sure it's imprinted on Patrick and his life, and we feel like changed people because of it. We feel like we grew so much as individuals and as a couple, and have learned so much about each other. And living in the craziness that is a big city like New York, and you know, they say if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere, and it truly tests you in so many ways. but the time has come to find a house. You guys, we are so ready to be homeowners and find our, maybe not forever home, but a good while home. I am done moving every 2 to 3 years. I do not want to do that anymore. I want to find a house. You probably already know where we have located to, but in case I didn't say it in this video for some reason until right now, but we are in the Twin Cities. We are back in Minnesota, back where it all started, and I am so excited to raise Theo here. I think he's going to love it. We are around family, friends, his cousins, and it's truly, that stuff is just a no-brainer to me. I really want him to have that. So currently we are in an apartment in the Twin Cities. We just got our stuff, just got settled, and finally feel like normal people again. We were so displaced for like 2 weeks because it took a while for our stuff to get here. And now we are ready to start the house hunting process. I did not want to buy a house from New York and move right there. Would have been easier, but I just don't know where to go. I don't know what neighborhoods I like. I don't know what school districts are gonna be good for Theo. I don't know anything. It's been so long since Patrick and I have lived here that we need some time to explore and figure out what we like. So you're gonna come along with us. It's gonna be so much fun. The New York City era has closed, partly. You know, I'm still gonna go back and visit my 2 best girlfriends over there. But for us as a family, the New York City chapter has ended, and now we're on to the next. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you to so many of you that have been along with me on truly the journey of my life. It is so exciting for me to be able to share this with you. So I love you all very much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.